guys of Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
It sucks, honestly. Yeah, you would like all of the individual stuff, but this is not an individual game, you know. It's more about the team, more about the record, and it's about winning. So, yeah, I like that I had a good game, but I mean, we still got a L, and we could have won the division today, you know. So we just got to do better, and we got a short week next week to really redeem ourselves and to get the 11 win.
New one yesterday. Maybe you guys have heard this before, and I'm just oblivious, but they were referring to that as a potential hat and T-shirt game, T-shirt and hat game.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk
is that like
brought that up.
Okay. Has that been how they refer to division or like playoff clinching games for a long time, or is this a new thing?
I heard it from Cousins talked about it, I think, at his midweek press conference, and that was the first time. And then somebody else talked about and used the same terms on Friday. So I had not heard of that. So
Kirk,
hat and T-shirt game.
When's the last time the Vikings won a division?
17. Before Kirk.
Has Kirk ever won a division? Kirk's never won a division.
Did Washington win one with him?
I think they stumbled into
when they got beat by the Packers that one year, or were they a wild card?
Let's just check it out. I just wondered did Kirk think maybe, hey, I'm going back to my home state and I'm going to have my first division championship celebration?
In 2015, they won the NFC East.
Okay,
so the Packers at home.
Yeah.
Okay, so they did. He has had the T-shirt and shirt celebration before.
Yes.
2015, and whatever bowl game Michigan State may have, like an Outback bowl.
Now you're back to taking shots.
He had a great.
Now you're back to taking shots. Now you're back to taking shots.
I'm not taking shots.
You've declared that the Lions are superior to the Vikings, and now you're taking shots at Kirk. All of your bad habits are rearing their ugly head.
I did say that on Purple Daily. Let's start. So it's a Statements Monday here. Mackey and Judd, daily Minnesota sports, entertainment, speculation, therapy, whatever you need from us. We'll get to a "What are you doing" guy here as well. But I'll start you guys off with the first statement here. Statements Monday. We make it official. The entire NFL world now believes the Vikings are actually frauds. There was some thought that they may be frauds and some discussion about whether they are or not frauds. And then Vegas came in and said, let's find out for sure. Let's make the 5-win Lions a 2.5-point favorite over the 10-win Vikings. And let's really see if they're frauds or not. Because if they're not frauds, they just scoff in the face of being underdogs, and they go and they beat the Lions by 10 points or something. They run up 41 points on the worst defense in the NFL. Well, those things didn't happen. And so, like it or not, yesterday's game only served to validate the notion that the Vikings are frauds in the eyes of national media, Vegas, analytics, whatever compartment you want to go into.
All right, so it was a disappointing loss. It was a disappointing game, and yes, the Vikings probably aren't a 10-win type of team. But that being said, I think the most interesting thing here is you still have time, if you're the Vikings, to make adjustments and to prove that you're not frauds. Now, if you're stubborn and you stand pat, and this is how we do things, I think that you are in trouble. But defensively, offensively, you can do more. So the NFL, largely, I think, based on the love of, and it's not unfounded, point differential, sees the Vikings as being a team that's okay, but not that great, and certainly not a 10-win team. I think the interesting gauntlet that's being thrown down to the team itself, and most importantly, KOC here, is this. What are you going to do to prove that you aren't frauds? What are you going to do? How do you respond here? And I don't mean coming back and beating the Colts on Saturday, because the Colts don't care. I mean coming back and having a very coherent plan over the last 4 games of the regular season to prove that you are indeed not frauds, and in fact are at least going to be a tough out in the playoffs. I think that's where this season is now going to take a very interesting turn, because we know what's wrong. It's not like a surprise. We know what's wrong. The question is, do you have the wherewithal and ability to make some necessary fixes, not overhauls, but necessary fixes?
Well, the Colts, I would say the Colts are a great set of training wheels for you to test out whatever it is that you're going to tweak this week, right? So, okay, we're going to send some more pressure. Well, Matt Ryan would be the type. Is he starting? Is Matt Ryan? I'm assuming
I believe he's
still
back starting. I think Saturday
Okay.
put him back as the starting quarterback.
So, sending extra blitzers after statue and old man Matt Ryan, it's just a good set of training wheels. A home game against a rickety franchise and an old broken down quarterback. Go test drive whatever changes you're going to make and see what happens. Get some confidence going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My next statement is this. The fix needs to be put in. The fix needs to be put in. And that, of course, is on the defensive side of the football. On PD, I said that if I'm O'Connell, I strip Donatel of play calling. I just don't think realistically he's going to fire Ed. Now, Ed might walk if he's pissed. That's different. But I don't think I could call for Ed's head, and I'd be comfortable personally doing that. I don't think KOC does that. But I think that he very much would strip him of play calling on the defensive side. And when the fix is in, here's what that means. That means maximizing and getting the most from, let me go through the list of players. Danielle Hunter. Zadarius Smith, I think, is banged up pretty bad. So I actually think that he was being used correctly. And now that knee problem for about the last month has slowed him. But more from Dalvin Tomlinson. More aggressiveness from the secondary. More aggressiveness, because I assume he's going to return from his neck problem, hopefully for the Vikings' sake on Saturday, from Harrison Smith. Like, there are things that you can do to start to fix this. And part of that is accentuating what players do well. Because you can't tell me that they don't have players who are not being maximized right now. There is no question. There is a group of players who are basically being fit into a box of this is what you're supposed to do without the question. And this is where O'Connell is guilty, and this is where he needs to change. Kevin O'Connell needs to go back and watch a little bit of film from Danielle Hunter in 2019. Not saying it's the same player, but I am saying there's more there to give. You need to maximize it, so the fix needs to be put in.
Yeah, yes, I agree. When we did, if you want a deeper dive into some of the dynamics on defense too, we did one on Purple Daily, so definitely check that out. But that it's the discussion here doesn't need to be, okay, how can the Vikings be the 2017 Vikings, the number one defense across the land?
Right.
That's not what's needed here. I mean, it would be nice, but the discussion is, how can they go from being one of the two worst defenses in the NFL to making some adjustments like the Chargers did, for instance, last night? The Chargers went into a room. They were one of the three worst defenses in the league going into that game against Miami. And Miami is one of the most explosive offenses. And Brandon Staley, a smart guy who runs a very similar scheme, got into a room and said, okay, let's roll up the sleeves. What are we doing here? It's December. We're fighting for a playoff spot. We're playing Miami on national television. If we get embarrassed, I'm going to get fired. So let's empty the bag of ideas. And they threw everything at Tua. Tua started that game 3 for 15. Or it might have been 3 for 17.
I think it was 3 for 17.
And the game was still somehow close in the end, despite that train wreck start. So there are things you can do. Can you go from being like, the 31st ranked defense to being something closer to league average to give yourself a chance where you score 23 or 27 points to win a football game?
If you're going to go down, do it being aggressive.
Agreed.
Be aggressive.
Shoot your shot, Ed. Shoot your shot.
That's all we're asking. It's not that much. We're not even firing your ass.
All right, my first statement. It's not your fault. That is my first statement. It is not your fault. And I'm talking about Kirk Cousins, who, according to expected points added and even quarterback efficiency, was the most effective quarterback yesterday on Sunday. And all of football. Yeah. He was amazing. Kirk Cousins was great, dude. He went 31 of 41, 425 yards, a couple touchdowns, a passer rating of 124, was making an insanely great effort to feed Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson. Kirk was brilliant in this game. And I'm Team Zolgad with the business decision to not try to fall on that football and hurt yourself even more. I thought he was brilliant. There was nothing about Kirk Cousins' game yesterday that I thought was nitpicky. There was nothing that he did that he needs to push the ball down the field or that he was being too conservative. Kirk was great yesterday behind also a pretty rickety offensive line that was missing 40% of its starters. So Kirk Cousins was great. It is not your fault. I know we're sometimes labeled as the biggest Kirk Cousins haters on the planet. This had nothing to do with Kirk Cousins' performance. He was brilliant against the Lions.
Dude, that throw he made a couple just ridiculous throws in that game. But was it KJ Osborne who caught a touchdown yesterday? KJ Osborne tiptoeing the sidelines, and Kirk just throws a rocket. You know, he's moves up, avoids pressure, and just throws a rocket tiptoeing. That's one of the throws that it's really hard to make that throw, but he does it with ease almost every Sunday. There was the one from 2 weeks ago where he's opposite hash mark, throws to the corner of the end zone, tap dance Justin Jefferson. So that was one of his best performances as a Vikings quarterback. Going into the game, he only had one 300-yard game on the season. It was at Buffalo in Week 10, and this was obviously a 400-yard game. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So bravo. Kirk Cousins in front of his family and friends fared better than Tom Brady did, but both teams wound up losing anyways, unfortunately. I'm going to go with this one. It's an offensive one. So the Vikings' offensive weapons are better on paper than in reality. So they have the best wide receiver, and they definitely can hang their hat on that. That's awesome. I don't know that they have one of the 5 best running backs anymore. We've thought of Dalvin as being like, oh, he's this guy that he's just top 5 running back. I don't know that he's even a top 7 or 8 running back anymore. He has these like 3 or 4 times now. He's had these games where he just does nothing for you. And then yesterday, he's one of your leaders. He freaks out and panics on the jump pass. And I get that there was some interior pressure there, but dude, like, you can't fumble that ball. And then you look at the other wide receivers. KJ Osborne's just kind of a guy. He's basically just a depth guy that had a big month and a half last year. And Adam Thielen, he's going to catch you 7, 8, 9 passes, but he's not going to get you like 120 yards anymore and be a deep threat down the field.
Right.
And Hawkinson's solid, but Hawkinson's not a tier 1 tight end. So maybe we have looked at these weapons on paper going back to the offseason, and oh my God, look at this now. KJ is emerging, and boy, if you can just get a tight end, the weapons are fine. But I wouldn't like. I think 6 months ago I would have said, boy, the Vikings have a top 5 set of weapons. I do not think that anymore.
Jefferson's so damn good that I think it skews us because he is arguably the best guy at his position in a league that's filled with great players at receiver. After that, I agree. So I think Hawkinson might still be ascending. So like I think there's more development there. So I'm not so. But yes, this whole notion. I mean, and this is the problem: is Thielen's the perfect example of a guy who is at one point outstanding, and now he's good. But we still think of, but you've got him. You've got Adam Thielen, and it's like you can't get separation. The deep shot yesterday was hopeless. It's not because he can't catch it. It's because he can't get away from the guy to catch it. Yeah. In fact, that leads into my statement perfectly. So if I could get the sounder. And I would actually like permission to sing this one because I think it's going to be if I sing the statement, it's going to have more impact.
This is a little risky. If you could keep it to 10
it's
bars,
going to be quick.
Maybe
it's
12.
going to be quick. It's not going to be the whole statement. It's going to just be the statement, the headline. And that is this. All we are saying is give Jalen a chance.
Oh, my God.
Jalen Reagor. All right. Didn't we hear last week? We got to get him. Everybody's talking about wide receivers. Jalen Reagor, all his speed. Oh, we are. I mean, Jalen Reagor, how much did we talk last week about? Okay, KOC and company. We got to get him more involved. He definitely has some explosiveness. He definitely has speed. I believe he had one meaningless late game target.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I understand the Thielen thing has pride, and I understand that Reagor might drop a ball. I don't know, but I do know this. He's got the explosiveness, and my God, if Kirk Cousins has not proven he can throw a beautiful deep ball, he's proven it. So what are we doing here, guys? Like, why wouldn't you have Reagor in for the route that Thielen ran in the red zone in tight confines, number 19 is still fantastic. Okay. So this is not suggesting he be abandoned, but Jalen Reagor, I mean, you picked him up, you gave up a draft pick for him. Let's give him a handful of plays to at least prove he sucks.
He only has 9 targets on the season. When did the Vikings trade for him?
Before the season started.
Right before the season started.
Before the year started.
So he did, yeah. So that's right. He went back to Philadelphia. They booed him, and he did have 2 targets in that game. But he's only had 1 target in 7 other games. He had no targets for like 4 games. So they're just not using him. He's just
correct.
He's just not out there. But when they do use him, the last 3 times, at least against Dallas, the 3 home games, New England, the Jets, he's had chunk plays. He's had like 3 huge plays for them. So there's definitely a reason why the Eagles were done with him. There's a reason why he didn't catch on more with the Eagles. First round pick. He's kind of a bust. But is there something between like not using him at all and Justin Jefferson level of success? Is there a guy in there, and he's the fastest of the remaining receivers on the roster too? Is there an issue with, Kirk is very particular. He's very much a preparer and particular about knowing, rightfully so, like where his receivers are going to be. All quarterbacks are. Is there a little bit of a lack of trust because Jalen Reagor was not part of the team during the offseason and mini camps and training camp? They didn't get the reps in. Right. I don't know.
But didn't the Jets catch show you? Didn't the Jets catch make you curious? Like, he made a hell of a play there. Great adjustment. That was a Kirk pass where Kirk got blasted and basically said, bleep it, I'm going to throw it. And Reagor made an adjustment and came back and caught that ball. Like, I saw that and thought, there's something there.
Yeah. No, it's a big question. And again, for people wondering, why are you guys talking about the offense? The defense is the biggest talker for sure. The offense had 7 points until the 2-minute mark of the third quarter against the worst defense in the NFL. Statistically. So it's kind of crazy how Kirk can be that great and they can still only have 7 points at the 2-minute mark of the third quarter. And a lot of his greatness also came like after that point as they were trying to get back in the game. But man,
the third quarter thing is very concerning.
It's every week except for one. Every week.
I know.
All right, Declan.
Now I got Give Peace a Chance just stuck in my head from Zolgan.
Me too.
And that's just going to be
John Lennon.
Actually, I stayed in that hotel in Montreal. I stayed in there.
Did you
on
really?
A big family trip about when I was 13, 14. Yeah, stayed in that exact hotel. Mm-hmm.
Bed in for just stayed in bed for like
5 days.
5 days.
I didn't
you just
leave.
stayed in bed and played your guitar, sang some Beatles songs, and then moved
didn't
on.
Shower, and it was a whole thing. My next statement is: it's okay to abandon the run. It's okay to abandon the run. So here's what I don't get about the Vikings. So they have not run the ball a lot this year. They're 28th in rushing attempts. They're 28th in rushing attempts. They're 27th in yards. They're 22nd in yards per attempt. Yesterday, it was clear you couldn't run on that defense, and I get it. Lions defense is bad. It's also bad on both sides of the ball. It's bad against the pass. It's bad against the rush. You know, the Jets last week have a really good pass defense. We saw it. It's hard to see a defense be really good against the pass in today's NFL. The Jets have a really good defense when it comes to defending the pass. And the Vikings had a pretty effective running game, and then what did they do? They kind of abandoned it against the Jets, and it didn't really work out for them. This was a situation where you weren't being effective against the run. And it was clear that when the Lions were going to be on the field, they were going to have to throw haymakers, and they were converting those big-time plays, right? So go back out there and make a big play happen. Pass the ball more. You don't have to just shove the run down your throat like KOC wanted to do yesterday. It's okay to abandon the run game. And I think Kevin O'Connell clung on to it way too much. And I love Dalvin Cook, but there was probably other ways to get the offense moving on more just effective pass plays. You can abandon the run sometimes. It's okay.
I think our guy Boone would say the opposite. He would say that showing the run and just the threat of the run is going to open up the passing game. But I almost feel like, is there a way where it can be the opposite? Why hasn't the passing game opened up the run some more? I don't think you can just go into a game and throw the ball 60 times for 3 hours and have that be your strategy. But how can they either use the pass to open up the run, or I guess find more ways to, if you're going to carry the ball 17 times, break a run of 6 yards once, because they didn't yesterday. They ran the ball 17 times. Their long run was 5. That's pathetic.
So I think the problem here is twofold. I think one is they want play action to be a threat. And if you can't run, I don't care. You can fake the handoff to Cook. I'm not going to respect it. I think that's the first problem. The other deeper inside football problem, though, to Dex's point, is ordinarily the play, if you can't run the ball, the plays that replace the run are the screen game. This team's screen game is inexcusably horse bleep.
It's really bad.
So there's no threat of like what Dex is saying, and it makes sense is, okay, if Cook can't run, can you use the screen game with Cook to get what basically turn into pseudo runs? But they can't operate. It's the damnedest thing. And Kirk has struggled, I know, but Kirk has done a lot of things really well in 2022 that I don't think he did well or executed perfectly previous to this. How do you not get your screen game working?
Yeah, it is a weird mystery. I don't know if it's just like a thing that Kirk isn't that comfortable with the timing of it, or if the offensive linemen aren't getting into position, or if Dalvin's also just not seemingly great. You'd think he is too, because he's so great in small spaces too. Usually, it's a weird mystery. What's not a weird mystery is Lake Ridge Liquors. It's just a fantastic place, Declan, in Vadnais Heights to stock up your cabinet for the holiday season.
That's right. I did that over the weekend. You can do that this coming weekend as well. Lake Ridge Liquors on Vadnais Heights off 694 and Rice Street there in the North Metro. They have a great 40-foot whiskey wall. They have plenty of wines in stock. They have Surly Brewing products in stock. Great selection at Lake Ridge Liquors. So when you go stock up for the holiday season, go to Lake Ridge Liquors in Vadnais Heights off 694 and Rice Street. Mention Score North to join their rewards program, and they will comp $5 also off your next visit to Lake Ridge Liquors. Go check out Lake Ridge Liquors in Vadnais Heights.
And since we're full of great gift ideas, the Spiral Light candle is all the rage this holiday season. A great potential stocking stuffer. Or something you could just put under the tree. I wouldn't light it under the tree.
No, don't light it. Don't light it. That's a bad idea. But yes, and look, to the guy who said, if I get my girlfriend a candle for Christmas, I'll be in big trouble. I'm not saying it has to be the only gift, but I'm saying as part of a gift package, it is absolutely perfect. Spiral Light candles are showing up on the Zolgad doorstep, I swear to God, 3 times a week now because Dawn loves them. And she's right. The house smells great. They're very attractive. Everything about them is absolutely fantastic. As they say, Spiral Light means they burn down spirally. And then there's a big wick at the end that you light for a long-lasting candle. Judd's Purple Positivity candle. It didn't work on Sunday, but guess what? It's a very cool. If you have a Vikings fan that the Purple Positivity candle is fantastic, and it's this simple: spirallightcandles.com. Spirallightcandles.com. Specials available, and a wide variety of candles that absolutely will make your home a nicer and warmer place. Spirallightcandles.com. Check them out.
Amen. All right, we'll get back to statements here in just a second, but it's time now for our What Are You Doing Guy of the Week, which we've now moved from Purple Daily over to Mackey and Judd. We have too much show on Mondays on Purple Daily to contain everything. So welcome to Mackey and Judd, What Are You Doing Guy. I don't think this ultimately directly impacted the result of the game, but it may have, and it's just a bigger annoyance that I have with referees and umpires and officials in professional sports in an era where replay is widely available. With 3 minutes and 41 seconds left in that game, the Vikings were trailing by 2 touchdowns. They were attempting to put together a drive. They needed a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, a stop, and then another touchdown. So the odds were long here, but not when you have Justin Jefferson breaking open down the right sideline. Kirk Cousins finding him streaking wide open, tiptoeing the sideline as a defender tries to push him out of bounds, and running his way into the end zone for what would have been a touchdown to bring the Vikings within 7 points or 8 points with 3:41 left. And the official on the play, I don't know his name, the lines judge or whatever the title is over there, said, "Oh, nope, he stepped out of bounds. He stepped out of bounds. We're going to blow my whistle, flex my authority, wave my arms, stop the clock, and we are going to put the ball at the, let's see here, 32-yard line of Detroit." And then Fox immediately shows up with like 3 different replays. And oh my God, it did look at live speed on TV like he stepped out of bounds, but he's Justin bleeping Jefferson. He tiptoed the sideline, stayed in bounds. The Vikings did wind up scoring a touchdown 50 seconds later. So, it wasn't like they had to punt away or something. But if they correctly call that a touchdown or let the play continue, 50 seconds would have remained on the clock. The Vikings almost certainly would have kicked the ball deep in that situation, like Declan was calling for. And again, maybe the Lions convert a first down, maybe not. But the Vikings did get the stop, and the Lions kicked a risky 48-yard field goal. Would the Vikings have gotten a stop maybe before the 2-minute warning, forced a Detroit punt instead with the extra 50 seconds? We'll never know. But to all of you referees, umpires, officials, whatever, baseball umpires who don't appeal down to the check swing on appeal to third base, these referees that blow plays dead that they're not totally sure of, what are you doing, guy? Yeah. Why are you blowing that play dead? Just let it, like I said in Ventline, there's no way you were 100% convinced. You couldn't have been. He didn't step out of bounds. He was like maybe 70% sure that Justin Jefferson stepped out of bounds and blew the whistle. Let the play continue and then let replay dictate. If a coach wants to challenge or something, let that dictate what happens with the play. And instead, again, like the Vikings defense was a sieve. There's a million reasons why they lost that weren't that play, but that play could have given the Vikings an extra 50 seconds and a shot to tie the game up. That's all I'm saying. What are you doing, guy?
Absolutely. And Jefferson's one of probably, I don't know, take your pick, 5 to 10 players who, if you think something occurred, it looks like he stepped out. He probably didn't. Like he's
there's no way he kept his feet in bounds on that catch. Actually,
if that's KJ, I might be like, yeah, he stepped out of bounds. But I mean, this guy's not human. He's not normal.
Yeah.
And like his body control there, when you go back and watch it, is incredible. Like he tiptoes the sidelines, which great players do. So I think that there's a case to be made to allow the play to go regardless. But with Jefferson, never assume, I know what I saw. No, you don't necessarily do. This guy is among the most special players playing this game.
Yeah. And I know some people were wondering, well, why didn't Kevin O'Connell challenge it? Because they blew the play dead.
Yeah.
So there's nothing. They had possession. It wasn't like a turnover or anything. So there wasn't. What would you have challenged? They blew the play dead.
You can't. Yep, you're right. You're exactly.
So there was literally nothing to challenge, and they blow the play dead. Guys stop running. Now sometimes they'll blow a play dead, but then they'll go back and say, oh, actually that guy would have recovered the fumble. So there's a little leeway there, but there's not like that guy would have run 32 yards for a touchdown levels of leeway built in once they blow the play dead.
Exactly
the Vikings would have just had possession. So
look,
what are we doing? Come on. Ridiculous. Okay, statements continuing here.